Okay, if you're watching this video, it's probably because you've got an interest in my ex-Hertfordshire Council mobile library that I've got for sale. We've been using it as a mobile shop, and I'm just going to give you a quick walk around so that you get a better idea of some of the features that this bus has got. Okay, so first in this back hatch here, if I unlock it, this is where the night heaters are kept. There's an Iveco night heater this side, and there's a twin one the other side, and they're used to heat up the main area inside the truck, and that gets pretty hot in there. Let me tell you. So that's the first thing. They run on diesel from the fuel tank, and they blow forced hot air inside the truck and keep it warm. So here, in this locker here, is the battery charger and the inverter, because this truck has 240 volt mains electricity, and that comes through the leisure batteries by means of an inverter. And in here what we've got is we've got a marine charger, and we've got a big inverter there. Now the charger has been disconnected because for use under the council it was charged overnight and then it just did its rounds during the day, and that's no good for me for the use we had with it. So the little box you can see there with the red wires coming out of it, that is a split charge system that we had put in, and the battery charger now has been disconnected because it charges while the engine's running, which made a lot more sense to us, and specifically if you're going to be using it as a camper. Okay, so that's your inverter and your charger. The inverter works perfectly. This inlet here is for external 240 volt input. If you want to maybe do a campsite hookup or something like that, that's what that's for. There's another one there. This is a external internet connection. I've never used it, but there you go. There is a phone line connector there. I've never personally used it at all. Obviously fuel tank, self-explanatory. And we come walking around to the main part of the truck, and we'll go inside and have a look at the mains panel. Obviously in a separate video, this rack lift, disabled lift, is in full working order. I've put that on a separate video in case anybody wanted to see it working. There's also full airbag suspension on the back of this truck, adjustable up and down, so if you're parked up on a bit of a gradient you can level the floor of the truck. Inside that hatch at the back there is the other Iveco heater for the heating of the cab and the body inside. So as we walk up inside now, we've got obviously the racking that we fitted because we used it for clothing. Obviously it would make an excellent camper. There is CCTV in here. There's one camera there, and there's another camera right there, and you can see the monitor. Now starting from the back, as you can see, there's no damp inside the roof. Roof's nice and dry, not deformed in any way. You've got 3 skylights. I know that looks like more, but you've actually got 2 skylights and then 3 what I call coach lights that can be opened, and 2 of the coach lights have oscillating fans built into them. I'll show you those working shortly. And there's shelving right here, and counter space, overhead locker. There's your controls for the door. I'll close that right now just so you can see it working. The door obviously runs on air, so do allow for the fact that if the engine hasn't been running, where this one has, then obviously you're not going to have air to open the door. Up front here you've got a domestic microwave, so we'll show you that in operation as well. You've got a domestic microwave, and then in here you've got a handy wash with hot and cold. Obviously I've not had the hot water on at the moment, so that won't be running hot, but you can see both taps work just fine. And when that's hot, believe me, that is really hot. When you flip the sink, it drains out through the bottom of the truck. And there's a little bit of locker space in there. Now, the microwave. We'll have to activate the inverter for that. This is the counter, of course. The small fridge is not included in the sale. I've yet to take that out. Drawer space, counter space. There's an overall look at the truck. Now we get to the control panel, which is what I've been wanting to shoot the video for, because it's got a lot of features. So first of all, we'll knock the fluorescent lights on inside the truck. A couple of those are out. I think they got capacitors gone. Never bothered me personally. There are sockets, of course, as you can see on the wall of the truck. They do work. These bulges in the carpet, don't mistake those for damp. Obviously it's an older truck, and that is just malformation in the carpet, so nothing to worry about there. So as we go back to the panel, obviously you've got additional door controls there, and I'm going to open the door again just to prove that that works. And then from the outside hookup socket, you've got a mains panel there, which is a bit like a domestic mains panel with breakers if you want to use a generator outside, or you've got a campsite hookup, 240 volt 16 amp, you can hook up to that, no problem, and that works just fine. Personally, I always run it off of the batteries, and the batteries, there's 4 large leisure batteries. They're located under that rear mat, under the rear floor. The carpet tiles lift up, and there's 4 big leisure batteries in there. And just under this small mat here inside the door, you lift the carpet tiles, there's a secondary hatch, and that's where your 2 starter batteries are. So those are 24 volt start. So there's 2 batteries in there and 4 leisure batteries at the back. Leisure batteries obviously charge from the engine now because we've got the split charge going. So what we've got here, for example, on this monitor here, it's telling us we've got 75% on the batteries. That's because the lorry's not used that often anymore, and I've not been keeping it topped up as I should have done, so it needs to go for a bit of a run to put that extra 25% in there. And we've got an inverter switch, so I can change to inverter, turn the inverter on, and then you can see that these fans do indeed work, as does the fan at the back. The inverter is on. That enables us to activate the power for the step lift, which is your disabled lift. There's the heat for the handy wash unit, which obviously works. Your fluorescent lights. Spotlights over the counter are not working. I think bulbs have gone, and there's 1 bulb gone in the door lights over the door. 1 works, as you can see, 1 doesn't, and that they used to both work, so I think I've got a bulb gone there. Right here, the left hand control is for the left hand side of the truck for the heating, and the right hand one is for the right hand side of the truck, driver's side. I only ever used to use the driver's side. I never understood why it had back and front written on it. That was when it was doing its duty as a mobile library, so I don't know who wrote that, but they do work quite happily. This one I've never used, this one I always used. So all I do is I press heat, and that starts to heat and works for an hour, and then it cuts itself off. And obviously the more you press it, you can ramp up the time that it stays on, or you can knock it off. And they work nice. I wish you could capture the heat on video, but the heat blows out from underneath the counter. Turn the fan off again, and it blows out of these vents that you can see in the bottom of the body of the truck. There's another vent behind this purple box here. These are purely removable. They're just there. They used to have library books in them. I used to keep shirts in them. Obviously you can do what you want with them. The cab of the truck, you can see the seats are clean and tidy. They're not worn or abused. Obviously the truck has a control there, which is for the air suspension on the rear. That's for a separate video if you want to see that working. There's 109,693 kilometres on there. I've always run it on a tacho. Throughout its life. There is a complete history from day one that I've got with it, a full service history. 109,000 kilometres, you've got to admit, isn't very much. Now there's 2 overhead lockers, and again a dry roof in the front. These curtains I fitted in because at some events where I went with this I would stay in it overnight, and it's very pleasant to sleep in. It's cosy and warm. I'll just show you the TV there. That shows up very well on the camera. You press this button here, camera 1, camera 2, which is looking out of the door, and if I hit the switch, there you go. There's the camera there, capturing what goes on with the door. Okay, so I think that probably sums up the inside of the truck. There is another curtain across the doorway there that I put in. Again, as I say, this is just been used as a shop. Oh, and there's the engine in that hatch there. It's a 4.5 litre turbo diesel. It's the 4-cylinder, not the 6-cylinder. In line with the regulations of running a truck. I've kept up with all of the inspections, and any faults that the truck has had have been fixed as we've gone along. Of course, I've got documentation to prove the service history, oil changes, maintenance. It's had new brakes on the rear, it had new discs and pads this year. There is obviously a reversing camera there which works, and it also has a speaking reversing siren to warn people when we're backing up. And that pretty much would sum up the inside of the truck. So we'll go and just quickly walk around the outside, and that would probably conclude the video, I think. So around the side there's a few marks from where there's been our company graphics on there. And there's the back of it. There are Venetian blinds up at the windows as well. There's the reversing camera. And there's the side locker where we began. Thank you for watching. I hope this video has been informative.